Welcome to Venti Questions Screen Discussions. My name's Chris.
And I'm Michael. And this is the show where we discuss everything from the silver screen all the way to the small screen and even the streaming screens you may carry in your pocket.
This is true. We're going to put 30 minutes on the clock and we're going to give our opinion on movies or TV shows or whatever.
Streaming series or basically anything that we can find that we want to talk about.
Yeah, pretty much. So, Michael, today is it's a super day, some might say. Yeah.
Today, we went and saw Black Adam.
We did.
In theaters.
We did.
For those of you who listen to the Venti Questions podcast, you will know that that means we followed through with what we said we were going to do.
Oh, yeah.
We promised we were going to see it in theaters together, and we did.
We managed to pull that off.
We did. So if you're ready, I'm ready. I will start the timer.
Let's start the timer.
All right, 30 minutes in 3, 2, 1, a go.
All right. Well, what a terrible movie that was.
I feel so bad that this is probably one of the worst superhero movies I've seen at least in the last decade, possibly ever.
I was just blown away. I was watching it and I didn't feel real.
Okay, so this is the issue. Now, those are very harsh statements to start off this conversation. Let me be clear. The movie is not the worst movie ever made. It's a decent movie.
Yeah.
It's just that the amount of hype that Dwayne Johnson has been feeding us for the past 2 months.
Everything's gonna change.
The hierarchy of the DC universe will never be the same.
Yeah. No.
What is he even talking about?
Yeah.
First off, his character was laughable half the time.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that part of it for me personally was The Rock.
He's a terrible actor.
I don't even want to go that far. I wouldn't say he's a terrible actor.
No,
I would say that out of 10, he's a solid 6.
When it comes to delivering dialogue. So he has got awesome screen presence. He looks great on camera. He moves good on camera when he's actually moving.
But he's not menacing. And I feel like that was my problem. So, all right. So in the beginning of this movie, by the way, spoilers, duh.
Yeah.
In the beginning of this movie, right at the point where he first escapes the what do you call it? The tomb, right?
Yeah.
And he's floating outside and there's the prison. The prison. Let's be real here. There's the 2 helicopters out there. There's the 30, 40 different assault vehicle looking things. All these people are getting out. And the shot you keep seeing is of him half obstructed by the cool cape. The cape head thing was awesome. I'm not going to lie. Hood.
It's called.
It looks super cool. Leave me alone. But he didn't look menacing at all. At that point, he's not an anti-hero. He's not a quasi-hero. He's a straight up murdering villain.
Yeah.
And I did not get any villain vibes from him.
I did in the very beginning when they showed him and he literally incinerated the guy.
Inside. When they were still inside the prison tomb, whichever.
He was menacing.
I agree. I still am disappointed that I actually saw the your magic is weak in a commercial, because
right.
if I hadn't have seen that, that would have been such an awesome moment where I would have been like, oh yeah, that hit for me.
Yeah.
But the problem was there was too many time frames where I felt like I kept getting pulled out because I was seeing The Rock and I wasn't seeing Black Adam.
Okay.
Now that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
That might not have been for everybody. But unfortunately also, the disappointments don't stop there. Exposition. So
the number one problem that we both agree with this movie, as we were watching it, we were saying it to each other. They have to explain, all the dialogue is written to explain what's going on in the movie itself. So none of it, there's no relationship building.
No.
Really. I mean, there's maybe 1 or 2 moments, but everything is to explain what has happened or is going to happen.
A lot of times in a movie, you will see a character who is giving exposition, but they do it in a subtle way where we'll be having a conversation about something that's going on in the world in front of us, maybe something we want to do, some sort of like conversation about a show. Yeah. But in that, we'll give subtle hints to something that may have happened or maybe will happen. That is how you give that kind of context.
Right. You're revealing to the audience what's going on. You're catching them up essentially.
Exactly.
But I think they think we're stupid.
Right.
Every moviegoer is dumb.
Okay. So the first spoken words period is a narrator type situation. I'm fine with that. It was a flashback to like wherever this made up place is, basically Egypt. Back when they were,
it's like,
no, don't do it. I don't want to hear it. So basically it's going back to this time frame, right?
Yeah.
And you're being duped into thinking that you're talking about this child who is the Rock, right? Spoiler, he's not. It was super, super obvious because of the guy they had doing the stand-in as the Rock.
Yeah.
It was horrible. But anyway, so that lasted for what, like at least 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And the narration was very like this, and then this, and then this, and then this. But it was a flashback narration, so I could forgive it.
Yeah.
The very next scene, you have these 3 guys in the front of a van that are having to be stopped at a checkpoint, right? You have a female in the back of the van hiding. The first 10 lines that this female says were straight exposition.
Yeah.
All we learned about her was her name, and then she started telling us useless facts that are only beneficial to know now because it's going to be relevant in like 20 minutes.
I had to quit my job at the university to do, and so, all right. Oh, she's
okay. So she has knowledge about this. Okay, cool. They're going to make a reference to her being like the situational expert. Cool.
Yeah.
Spoiler, they did. So it was just very frustrating.
Yeah.
Right away. Then on top of that, all right. So we've talked before about my pet peeve with special effects.
Yeah.
This movie was so all over the board for me in the special effect aspect that it was infuriating.
Yeah.
Because at one moment you would see Black Adam do like his super speed and it looked epic. It looked better than what they did for either Flash or Superman, minus the slow-mo motions. You can't beat those. Zack Snyder destroyed those. Those were amazing. But it looked better.
Superman, you're speaking in what movie?
Either Man of Steel when they did him moving fast, also in Batman vs Superman, and then also in Justice League.
Because I got glimpses of Man of Steel when they're fighting in Smallville essentially, and so they did multiple things of slow-mo him, but then they did like fast, like where what's her name is
right.
All the soldiers.
Right.
And
that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay,
let me phrase that. I'm not talking about the slow-mo sections where everybody else is moving at like a snail pace and he's doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. That was stolen from a different franchise, not even a different movie. That was 100% the Quicksilver scene from X-Men Days, or whatever that
X-Men
X-Men was.
Now a couple times. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, my thing was in the scene where in the very beginning where he's flashing from soldier to soldier and just murking them in like one shot. That looked really good.
Right.
The same types of movement, half an hour, 45 minutes later, looked like crap.
Okay.
He was doing the same thing, but it didn't look like he was moving quickly. It looked like the film skipped. Just in that one little spot. And it was just like, that wasn't smooth. It was smooth 20 minutes ago, but it's not now.
Right.
So that was really frustrating for me. The absolute worst thing for me, though, 100%, like the special effects bothered me, and there was a couple of little things here and there. That
it was just full of special effects.
It was
so. There's going to be moments where
and every movie that is a superhero movie nowadays has a couple of special effects scenes that suck.
Yeah.
Let's be real; it doesn't matter which
you can find something. It's not perfect.
Or something that's just like, well, that's a little off. Sure. You know, it is what it is.
Sure.
The soundtrack.
Bad.
The score. Not even just the soundtrack. Because to me, a soundtrack is like whatever licensed stuff they throw in. Yeah. And that was pretty crappy. There was a couple of ones where I was like, oh, it was kind of
But just the audio editing with that. I mean, the transitions,
I wish I could remember, because it's been a few hours since we saw the movie. But there was one point where I leaned over to you and I literally, it was like the first time I commented on that. And I'm like, what is this music? Because the tone that the actors were portraying, the tone that the cinematographer had portrayed, and then the tone that the music was portraying were all three different.
It was all over the place.
And it was just like, I don't understand. This looks like a made for TV movie right now. And all that they would have to do to fix it is just get the appropriate sounding music to represent the emotion of the scene.
Right.
I'm a nobody. I don't know crap about this. I know that was wrong.
Right.
And it
didn't fit. It pulled you out.
It irked me throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
All right. So I feel like that's a good.
All right. Let the steam out.
A good level of like the things that just really irked us. Yeah. Right.
Let's jump into some of the positives real quick, and then we're gonna go back, to some of the other stuff.
So I gotta talk about some actors.
But Pierce Brosnan, Dr. Fate, fantastic.
Stole the movie. The first 5 minutes of him on screen, I could take it or leave it. But once we got that little bit of introduction that was so like in your face obvious, he was perfect for that part.
Yeah.
I loved almost every scene he was in.
Yeah.
He had the right amount of like wittiness to deal with somebody who was way more powerful than him.
Oh, yeah.
And yet at the same time was able to be that middleman between Black Adam and the hot-headed version of Hawkman.
Sure.
Everything he said was great. He looked the part too.
Yep.
He looked awesome. I know that like when he was wearing the actual superhero outfit, it was all CG or it was some other dude, but it looked good.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about this before too. I still think he would have made a really cool Doctor Strange.
Yeah, sure.
I really do. I'm happy with what we have.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think we're good.
Fans cast. Yeah, that'd be kind of nice.
Yeah.
Worst part though, they killed him off.
Yeah.
They killed off the literally best character in their movie.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think what they were trying to do, and I like what the direction they were trying to go, like, oh, you're never going to know. He's Dr. Fate. He knows the future. It was just obvious that he'd be the one to be killed off.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately.
No, the foreshadowing was
right.
spot on.
But so they went in a good direction with it. And I felt confident that they did that. I just don't like that they did that. I don't like.
Yes.
Because now we're going to have a new Dr. Fate, or we're not going to have one if there's going to be any other Justice Society stuff. I mean,
okay, let's talk about the Justice Society aspect really.
Yeah.
I was both pleasantly surprised and a little disappointed. So I liked the fact that they were not on like the stereotypical Justice League. Right.
Sure.
I like the fact that it wasn't just like two random people together and they weren't part of a group. But what I didn't like was that it seemed like they could have been Billy and the kids or something. Like it didn't matter.
Nobody knew who they were.
Two of the people were fresh recruits, which is half the team. The other person, Pierce Brosnan's character, obviously was not currently part of the JSA or something, because he was coming back. I got one more job. Like that's how it was. You know what I mean? 2 days till retirement.
Well, then
kid.
That means the JSA consisted of Hawkman and two brand new recruits who didn't see field action at all. This is their first gig.
And it does. And then on top of that, okay, if you're going to be part of a team, you have to have a leader. And if the leader doesn't know how to do teamwork, why is he the leader?
Yeah. Yeah, the dynamic was wrong. They weren't
They try. Yeah, the problem with
there was no explanation or backstory to the development of them or
and then here was my other issue.
Anything.
The interpersonal relationship between Dr. Fate, Pierce Brosnan's character, and Hawkeye, and I apologize, I don't know his actor's name. That was really cool. I liked their dynamic and the way that they communicated and like their storyline development. The storyline development between Atom Smasher and Cyclone also was kind of cool. I liked it. It was cutesy. It was like a little flirty. It was a little like, hey, we're both in this in the same situation. Let's bond. Why was there no cross-pollination between those two groups?
Right.
And that's what frustrated me.
Yeah.
The only person that did was Dr. Fate, but even still, so small.
No.
And it just, it made it abundantly clear that they literally looked at the DC lineup and went, all right, which characters can we use?
Right.
And then every one of the ones that they said, yeah, you can use them, they were like, cool. And they put them in.
Sure.
There was no cohesive like glue holding them together at all.
It was a disappointment for the first time we see the Justice Society on screen.
Okay. And you are more of a fan of like old school JSA. I have to ask you.
Yeah.
In the comics, do they seem like an X-Men ripoff?
No.
As far as their home location?
No.
Because it looked like Xavier's Institute.
Yeah. The field opened up.
The field opened up. The freaking jet that looked 100% like a cross between the Wakandan ships for the front part and the Blackbird aspect for the actual full-size thing from X-Men.
Michael, don't get me started with the Wakandan comparisons.
The parallels between this movie and anything that had to do with Black Panther, in my opinion, was distasteful. One, and then also just lacking. It was such a poor.
What was the name of the stone or the whatever that they were mining? The gem.
The starts with an A or something like that, but basically
or E.
It starts with E, right?
Eternium or something like that.
Yeah.
Vibranium, basically.
Yeah, vibranium.
Yeah.
It had a bluish glow to the metal as well. Oh, what does that seem like? Oh gosh, wow. Bluish purple, same difference.
Yeah.
Then there was the actual name of the place too. It was like if you took Wakanda and then put like a K in front of it and took rid of the W, it was like Kawanga or something like that.
No,
it was ridiculous.
And guys, I mean, we're just digesting this. We haven't really done.
We watched it probably. I'm looking at my scrunchie like that's a watch, but we watched it probably like what 4 or 5 hours ago at this point.
Yeah, 7 p.m. we saw it.
Yeah.
It's laughable, the comparisons. I think the more frustrating part and disappointing part of the whole thing is, as you said, the lead up to this is going to be something new, fresh.
So,
and it was literally, let's just take this from here and that from there and that from there, and we're going to put our new names on it. We're going to call it something different. And it didn't have a global feel. It had, they were in a bubble, and here's a little bubble. And this 100%. Is where our setting is. Where was this prison, by the way, that Waller had? Because that didn't seem too far away from where this town is.
Okay, so there was a couple of continuity issues. I wasn't going to bring it up because it's very nitpicky. Yeah. But this is one of the things that bothered me. There was multiple times that Dr. Fate would be in a room and have a particular outfit on. The very next scene, in like the room adjacent to it, he would walk in with a different outfit.
Yeah, he's magic.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So there was that.
Neck scarves and
then there was a situation what you're referring to when they were somewhere super up north, frozen tundra like.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, they were back in this make-believe land that is 100% Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Right? Middle Eastern or African, one of the two.
It seems to be Middle Eastern of some sort because the references of
the accents too.
The accents, but the references to, robbing their resources.
Oh gosh.
And they leaned in so much about, these colonizers.
They were this close to calling them colonizers.
They called them something else. There was another name that was used.
Yeah, it was like a I can't think of that word where it's
invaders. They said invaders or something like that. Yeah.
And that was, I don't know, man. I am I maybe a little sensitive on the aspect of the similarities between that and Black Panther, because Black Panther's about to come out and we literally saw a preview before we saw maybe it was just fresh on my head.
Yeah.
But it was such an eye-rolling moment. And it was part of that huge exposition dump in the very beginning too, where you're just like, oh my God.
They failed at building this make-believe civilization.
Yes, they very much did.
And there was no weight to it.
Well, I wanna just knock on this really, really quick. The kid in this movie, Iman or something like that. I don't remember his name.
Sure.
I could not stand this freaking kid. Every single thing that he said / did with Black Adam made zero sense, because he was
Iman. Yeah.
Iman. Okay.
Yeah.
He was being 100% ignored by this entity that was destroying more walls than Titania, and it was still him talking to him, even though he's like 150 feet up in the air and like half a block down the road, and he's still like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Oh, let me get on my skateboard. And it was just like, what? Why are you still following him? And then also, why does this God care about this one kid when he's just killed over 150 people?
Yeah. The kid had the same persistence and annoying tendencies as the kid from Samaritan. The movie Samaritan. It was the same kind of like.
We don't say that word here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't bring up that movie. And if you're one of those schmucks that has given it a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes, we will find you, because you are a liar. It is not a good movie. Freaking 73%.
I just think the movie was just cut up in pieces and then put together, and it just didn't know what it wanted to be. It had moments.
Which one are we talking
about?
Samaritan. Okay.
It had moments.
I was going to say, like, I didn't really notice that in the Black Adam, but yeah.
Back to Black Adam.
So, okay, let's talk about a couple more positive things.
There were some jokes that landed.
Okay, that's what I was actually going to lead into.
Yeah.
So, Adam Smasher's character is supposed to be the Flash of this group.
He's the nitwit.
Yeah, he's the new guy who's kind of awkward, who doesn't quite fit into his britches. He's a legacy person because they had Henry Winkler as his
Hank Penn. Yeah.
Exactly. He's the Scott Lang of the situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the first couple of jokes he did, super forced, weren't that great. After like the first like 2 or 3, he started having some really funny one-liners.
Yeah.
And even though he was basically copying the stuff from Ant-Man, some of the jokes and like the practical gags when he was like big and stuff, they were pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you did actually see a little bit of a story arc with him of being so unreliable and just like not a good hero, to the end where he immediately went to go cover up Cyclone.
Right.
When they all had to like grab somebody to cover.
Well, he kind of stuck to her and kept helping her. He helped her up that one time. You know, he's done things like that throughout that. They tried to establish their relationship.
But like in that moment, it was... the reason why I say that I felt like there was a character development there was because Hawkman immediately went to protect the mother with the wings, right? Fate utilized his mirror dimension stuff.
Sure.
And
Magic Man.
Whatever, bro. And he protected the kid, and then he did that for her. Yeah. And so that was like, okay.
Well, they all took their part. That was the first teamwork they did together.
And that was my point.
Yeah.
Now, we got like 10 minutes left in this 30 minutes. Let's talk about the only actually awesome thing about this whole movie. Exactly. So,
they teased, of course, before this, they teased Superman, right?
Henry Cavill.
Not
just Superman.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill. Superman.
Yeah, not the head cut off walking into a cafeteria in Shazam Superman.
Okay, first off,
The
I 100%
deflated
agree.
Superman.
100% agree. But I will also say that Henry Cavill wanted to do that. It was a scheduling issue.
I know. I understand
and so I respect it.
I understand.
That was before he was blackballed by Warner Brothers.
Yeah. He was in the movie, and it wasn't a picture of him, a hologram of him up talking, which I thought they were going to do a hologram of him speaking in. No, he landed, boom, talking to Black Adam.
The bass hit when he landed, by the way.
Oh,
it was, they made sure to put that oomph when he did.
And he says something along the lines of, the world hasn't been this scared in a while, for referencing when he first came on, and
everybody was scared of him,
right?
Which was it.
And then he said, we got to talk. And then it's like, okay.
And I will say this, the smile was not one of like, let's go a few rounds. It was more like, all right, finally an equal I can talk to.
Right.
Which, by the way, I don't have an issue with them being similar. I have an issue with one of them thinking that they're way more powerful than the other.
Right.
Which, once again, The Rock did kind of win us back over in the last week or so, because he kind of gave credit where credit was due with Superman.
Yeah.
So it helped out a little bit.
I think he leaned a little too much into, I'm gonna not let them know that this is what's gonna be going on, right?
Well,
and then he started getting some hate.
Oh yeah, he really did start getting some hate.
And then he's like, "Oh wait, no, go see the movie. Trust me, you'll like it."
The people's champion was sweating a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my real question would be, I want to know when that last scene was finally shot. I would love to know the timeline on that.
Yeah.
Because there's speculation, of course, that it was done like
it was definitely
a month
post
ago.
movie. Yeah, it was definitely.
But there's also a possibility that it was done like 6 months ago.
They wouldn't have been able to keep it as hush hush as they have.
As they did,
as they did. Because honestly, I haven't been surprised in a very long time, and shocked when it came to many movies in terms of directions, and we can predict things pretty well. We've seen enough movies. We just know what's going to happen.
We know a lot of the source material as well too. So
I was hoping to see him in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping to see him in the in the movie.
Sir, it's an S.
Not on my planet.
Well, this is Earth, and that's an S.
So you're Lois Lane, and I'm. This is great. I love this. We could do this all day.
Which means that I'm smarter than you, because she was able to figure out your secret identity in the time frame of like 4 months.
I'll just keep saving your life. No big deal.
I don't like where this conversation is going. We're wasting time. We have like 4 minutes. Let's go. No, the only other thing I will say on that is that obviously before we got the reveal of Henry Cavill, we did get another moment of I can't think of her name. Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
The one thing that did kind of make me like the movie was seeing the second preview where we did see Amanda Waller, because it kind of made me feel like, oh my gosh, there's actually stakes.
Right.
But I also kind of wish that they didn't show that, because that would have been such a...
They shouldn't have showed Waller in the actual previews.
And the other thing
she could have
too
been helping tie things together that way with what they're trying to do here.
The other thing too, I will say, is I did not expect to see Waller like minute 15 in the thing. Really quick, just one more thing. I just want to shout out real fast. The actor who played Hawkman was an amazing actor in the previews. How do you say it?
Aldis Hodge?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Okay.
But he was an amazing actor in the previews. In the movie, he was acting for the CW.
Yeah.
It was an audition tape to play somebody on the CW.
Yeah.
It was atrocious.
Yeah.
And it pulled me out of scenes. And it was so sad because he had the perfect look. They did awesome on his CG. His CG was legit. And when he had the cowl on, like the way that they designed it so that you got like the eyes looking out and like you could see the emotion, he acted better with his facial expressions and body language than he did when he opened his mouth.
Yeah.
It was so disappointing because I was super excited for
but it's tough too, because he's exchanging dialogue with The Rock, which is limited in his dialogue delivery as well.
He was also exchanging dialogue with Pierce Brosnan, which is the best scenes.
Right.
But still, he was not meeting.
It made him look better in those scenes, though, I will say.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So
overall, here's the bottom line. are you going to watch the movie again?
I'm not going to go pay to see it again.
Oh, hell no.
But when it's available on streaming, when it's available on HBO, when I get to go do that.
When it comes on HBO,
then I'll watch it again.
Me and you will watch it. It'll be a pub sub night.
Yeah.
And this time we'll be able to actually yell and scream at the TV.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to be very polite in the movie theater.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But still, yeah. Any other final thoughts? We got like 30 seconds here.
Yeah, I mean, we can probably, go all night, our opinions or feelings on that. And we'll probably talk about it and other stuff too. But in all honesty,
this conversation is going to come up in our other content.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm glad we saw it. I'm glad we
agreed.
We went to the theaters to see it. I'm happy with officially having Superman back, Henry Cavill back as Superman. I'm happy with that.
I'm a little disappointed in how brightly colored his suit was, but I respect and understand it. They were going with the theatrical release version of Justice League color scheme.
They couldn't have him in black suit because
that's fine.
They leaned into,
but they could have
Black Adam, black.
Oh my god,
that's his catchphrase. So,
okay, the catchphrase thing was awesome.
That was fun.
That was the only cool part the kid added to it. Yeah. It made me think of the Terminator. That was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've hit 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Those were our thoughts. So the real question is, what are your thoughts about our thoughts? Let us know. Hit us up in the comments. We promise that we'll be very polite back in our replies.
I will.
I won't. But it's okay. But yeah, honestly, we really appreciate you guys listening to us. Do us a favor. If you did enjoy the content, go ahead and comment down at the bottom here. Also, hit the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. So far, we're sitting at a couple, and we'd like to have a couple more.
We're learning to do this. Thank you for, going down this path and taking this journey with us.
Yeah. So outside of that, until the next time we see another movie, I don't know. We'll come up with an end tagline eventually for when we're doing these. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Take care. Bye.